Hello everyone, it's Friday once again, so you know what that means. It's time for edition 80 of Artisan Weekly. It's been another really great week. We've been busy at Jump 24. I've been talking to lots of new clients and working on some pretty cool stuff. And then there's been some really, really wonderful content this week. We've also got Laravel Live UK coming soon. So if you've never been before, I do recommend going along. Some great speakers. And it's a really great event. Get to chat to lots of really lovely developers there. It's down in London, so if you've not been, the early bird tickets are still available. So head on over to the website and grab yourself one now. With that in mind, let's jump into this week's top 10. So in first place this week, we've got Matt Stauffer and Dave Hickin over on the Laravel podcast. Now in this one, Dave is on talking about the future of Laravel partnerships. You all might have seen Dave before. Worked at Titan, worked at Userscape, and actually he's worked at some. He's worked all over. He's worked at some really interesting places. Dave is now working for Laravel, and he's running the partnership program. Now we're obviously a Laravel partner, and so we've been talking to Dave a lot since he started. He's brought some really interesting things to the table, but I just thought it'd be nice for people to kind of understand a little bit more about the partnership program. Dave goes into some nice detail of it, some things he's got plans for it, things like that. And yeah, I thought it's a nice little podcast to listen to. Just thought people might be interested in it. Next up then, we've got this post here by Paul Redmond over on Laravel News. It's talking about the new flaky test retries method in Pest v4.5. Now, we've all got these test suites, these massive test suites, and we might have that one flaky test that randomly fails, every other third run of the test suite. So Pest, so Nuno has kind of, thought about this, and he's created a new method. This flaky test method allows you to, write down that this test is flaky and have a tries count on it. So Pest will actually go away and run it. Like how many times you tell it to, it defaults to 3, but it will run it, and it will only report it as a failure if it fails, those 3 times. Lovely method. I think this is going to be so useful. I know you should try and fix those flaky tests, but sometimes you just can't get to the bottom of them. So here we are, a lovely little method for Pest. Next up then, we've got a post here by Frick. And he talks about how they're using optimistic updates in a new application that they're writing called They're There. It's one of the new features of Inertia v3. If you've not had a chance to play with Inertia 3, or you've been wondering about this optimistic updates, Frick has put together a post here with examples showing you how they've done it on this new application, and it's a really nice feature. Kind of gives the impression that the thing has happened. Like you might have sent an update, and it might take a little bit of time to do that update. So it comes back to the UI, and the UI handles it like it's been done. And then when the request is finished and Inertia actually returns a response, the UI updates again. So if it does end up failing, the error message is there. So it's a really nice way of being able to kind of give the user a feeling that things are snappy. Next up then, we've got this post by Havis. Now, policies and gates. We've got these 2 different ways to do authorization in Laravel. Sometimes some people prefer policies, sometimes people prefer gates. It's one of these things that we've seen lots of code bases with different approaches. So in this post, he kind of goes through them both, gives you a really good guide and insight into them both. Hopefully by the end of it, then you'll kind of have an idea of which one you should use or which one you would prefer to use. But yeah, it's a really nice breakdown. Next up then, we've got this little Twitter post here by Steve Bauman, and he highlights a new method that is, a new thing that was recently merged into Laravel 13. So it's the debounceable queue jobs. So his example, it's a really nice example actually, where you might want to delay, or it's kind of a sending of a new message for like 15 seconds or something like that. So if you send 3 messages to a user in a small amount of time, you don't want that user getting like bombarded with messages. So this debounce allows you to kind of stop that from happening, and it will send only the one message. So if you send 3 in like 15 seconds, it will only end up sending one of them to the user. So it's a really nice little touch. Could be useful, especially like, with those examples it shows there. Next up then, we got Harris over at Laravel News. So this is his first episode in the fourth episode in Ship AI with Laravel. So, in this series, he's been running through building an AI agent with the Laravel AI SDK. And in this one, he is at the point now where the AI agent can a customer can talk to it, ask it about an order. But the problem was, after that point in time, the agent couldn't really do much more because it didn't have like a memory. So in this one, he's talking about adding how you add on like a history to the conversation. So you might ask it, how is my order 1, 2, 3, 4? It gives you the response back, and you go, oh, can you tell me about this item in that order, or something like that. So he talks through how to use the AI SDK and the functions it has to be able to do that, to kind of keep that conversation flowing and give that your AI agent the necessary things that it needs to continue talking to the client. Next up then, we've got a post by Ryan called Writing Code That Feels Native to Laravel. Now, as Laravel developers, we see it, the framework is written in a way that is, you could go and look at any file and it has these, it's written in a way that everything could make sense, everything's standard, it looks the same. Now, in this post, kind of Ryan kind of talks about, well, why not start writing your code the same way? Start using some of the tips and techniques that the framework does, like using facades, using, a handle method instead of invoke, or, these kind of things. The things that the Laravel framework already does in its code base. If you start doing it, it's going to look very similar, and you're going to follow a lot of those patterns. And, you're going to use those conventions, the Laravel conventions. So it's just a nice little post. It's something to think about when you're writing your code. Do you want it to feel more Laravel-y, or are you happy kind of sticking away and doing the way that you do things? Next up then, we've got this post here by, sorry if I get this wrong, Sajil, the Laravel queue and multi-tenancy trap that cost me 3 hours. So an interesting read if you're doing any kind of multi-tenancy work. He talks about a bug that happened on their application to do with queued jobs. And yeah, he breaks it down what happened, and how then they ended up fixing it. Again, really interesting. If you're thinking about doing multi-tenancy work, this thing might come up in your kind of code. So yeah, it's worth a read. Next up then, we've got Wendell from the Laravel team. And in this one, he talks about Laravel root binding. So he goes behind the curtains there, and goes into depth about how Laravel root binding works in the framework. If you've wanted to understand how that worked, it's an interesting one. It kind of goes into a lot of detail about how these things work. So yep, another interesting one to learn more about the framework. And then finally, we've got this post here by Vivek. Avoid n+1 query problems in Laravel using the load missing method. Now we know n+1 query methods. We hate them. They're the bane of our developer life. So he uses examples of the problem and how to solve it using load missing, so that you're not loading in a relationship twice, or it's a smart way of doing it. If you're not already using load missing, you should be. So obviously that's it for this week. Hopefully there was something there that caught your eye, and something that you enjoyed reading. And if you did, please don't forget to reach out to the authors and say a big thank you for putting that work out there. And again, if you've enjoyed this, please let me know. Follow me on LinkedIn, Twitter, over on YouTube as well. The links will be in the post. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you all again next week. Ciao for now.